आपादमणिपर्यन्तां गुरूणाम् आकृतिं स्मरेत् तेन विघ्नप्रणश्यन्ति सिद्धन्ति च मनोरथः लक्ष्मीतनुतनितरामितराणपेक्षमङ्गलद्वयं निगमशाखिशिखाप्रवालं तैरम्बमङ्गुरुहडम्बरचौर्यनिग्रहं विघ्नाद्रिभेदशतधारधुरन्धरम् सर्वेषां स्वागतं. Welcome to the Bhashya session for shlokas 38 to 40. So this we were looking at what Brahma's opinion is. And this shloka, that is Nahya Punyavatal Loke Mudhanam Kutilatmanam Bhaktir Bhavati Govinde Smaranam Kirtanam Tatha. In the text that we saw, that dha is supposed to be Mahaprana, however, they've used Alpa Prana, it is Mudhanam Kutilatmanam. So this whole set of opinions, 9 shlokas we will see, Brahma's opinion is actually from Shandilya Smriti, where the first one where Nahya Punyavatal Loke, that is actually from a shloka called Yatha Yatha Harim Bhaktya Janati Purushottamam Tata Tata Samutyajya Papani Purute Shubham. So once we do Harismriti Harinama Smarane, it can take our sins away. That is the repeated theme that has been coming about, which is what Shandalya Smriti also says. And this we need to know about Shandalya Smriti also, because it's usually Smritis are associated with Dharma texts. But this Shandalya Smriti is attributed also to Dharma Shastra only. So we will find the same theme followed, that is Purusharthas. Purushartha Siddhi is what is the purpose of Dharma Shastras. How should Dharma be followed? How should Artha be made its place, given its place, Kama, Moksha. And there is now in this Shandalya Smriti, the one more addition to Purusharthas has been Bhakti, which makes sense of Acharya Srimad Ananda Tirtha using it over here, because Dvaita takes Bhakti Yoga to center stage rather than Jnana, or Jnana Yoga has been the primary benefactor of Advaita. And we will find that Jnana Karma Samuchayavada takes place in Vishishta Advaita. But when it comes to Dvaita, very specifically, it is Bhakti Yoga. And therefore, they have taken into consideration Chandalya Smriti, where the focus is not just on the Purusharthas, but also on the fifth factor of Bhakti. But there are 5 sections. So Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, and then Bhakti. All these 5 kandas are there. But unfortunately, we do not have the first 4. They have not survived. First 4, that is Purushartha Siddhis, are not survived. Bhakti, however, it is available. Bhakti Kanda is available, and it has around 56 chapters. So here in Shandalya Smriti, Hari in his form of Krishna. Again, because we are talking about Krishna as a tattva, not just as one person or anything like that. So Krishna Amrita, Krishnasya Amrita Maharnava. So the nectar of a tattva called as Shri Krishna. So here in Shandalya Smriti, it is Krishna in that form. He is considered as the supreme god or the supreme form of Brahman. So therefore, that the supreme deity, why he is considered, why there is mercy and guidance in his embodiment, why there is spiritual liberation, why is he protective in nature. One other thing that that is very close to Krishna is that Krishna, those who call upon him, he always responds. Because if we see Bhagavatam, Krishna's whole avatara is not just about killing Kansa. It is about giving moksha to all those people who have been cursed. In his Krishna Leela, as they say, in his Balaga Varnana, we will see that he keeps this, in one way, he keeps destroying Rakshasas, but in another way, those are all cursed souls, and he keeps liberating them. So he is that potent. So he when you call upon him, he will always responds in that form. We may not be able to see Mahavishnu, we may not be able to see Sankarshana, Achyuta, we may not be able to see the forms of Adhokshaja, Damodara. Damodara is Krishna itself, Adhokshaja. So what happens is Krishna, however, when we think of Krishna's form, he responds. He responds in that form. So even to a sinner, Krishna is available if he calls or if, with Shraddha. So therefore, that form of um, his stewardship avatara is extremely close to humans, close to any manifested forms. So therefore, his mercy and guidance is something that we can seek. Then it uh, establishes what bhakti is, very importantly, devotional service. So in that we find the mentions of um, Shramana, Manana, Nididhyasana, and then Sakshat Karana, all these things of Krishna. So their spiritual liberation, bhakti, has been explained very well in Chandelier Smriti. Then we see the next shloka where it is not just because we were talking about the next shloka, Tadaiva Purusho Muktaha, Tadaiva Purusho Mukto Janma Mrityu Jaradibhihi Jitendriyo Vishuddhatma Yadaiva Smarate Harim. So Yadaiva Smarate Harim. And why we should do this? We also Mudhanam, we looked at it, and we are talking about this Mudhas. We associated them with the tamasika tattva. So what kind of people get freed from Janma Mrityu Jaradibhihi? Those people who are able to control their senses, Jitendriya. Then those who are of pure mind, Vishuddhatma. Then when they pray to Hari, Tadaiva Yat Eva Smarate Harim, only with those attributes, then those people will be mukti from, they will get mukti from the Janma Mrityu Jaradibhi. Now here, what we have to connect is the word from the previous shloka, that is Mudanam, and with this, why these specific attributes are given. Now, if we go through Bhagavad Gita in the 14th chapter, that is Gunatraya Vibhaga Yoga, we'll find that Krishna starts to mention the different kind of tattvas that has originated from. So he says, Sattvan Rajastama iti Gunaf Prakriti Sambhavaha Nibadhnanti Mahabaho Dehe Dehinam Avyayam. So here, out of him, there are three kinds of tattvas that has born. That is, we're talking about him as the Mula Prakriti, or you can say out of Prakriti, there are three gunas that has born. That tie down that soul to the body. These are the gunas that is able to bind the soul to the body. It is how does the soul get the body? It is through these three tattvas. Without that tattvas, there is, again, why we are talking specifically about these three tattvas is because we're talking about something that has manifested. Without them, there is no manifestation. So when the question occurs, why can't we think about, why can't we go beyond these gunas, is practically because we are in this body. That is the reason we cannot think about Nirguna Brahman, because our body is made through these three gunas, our sensibilities are also through these three gunas, and therefore we have to perceive things through these three gunas. So understanding this is, when I understand what is liquidity, I have different types of liquid. There might be milk, there might be honey, there might be something. But for me to understand liquidity, I have to take the example of water only. So I'm understanding it only through that, because I don't know how to understand it without that. So this is like language, where this is originally in Sanskrit. In the same way, we have different we have different English versions. We have versions in different regional languages. But where and why are we using this? Because this is the medium of instruction I can understand. So therefore, it is more popular. It is not that I cannot understand it in Sanskrit. I can, but I will not be able to understand it effectively. So because my mind has been built in such a way, or not built, because I've developed my mind in this particular medium. I've received proficiency in this medium. Therefore, I'm trying to understand it in the best way. I can try to get it in some other way, but I will not be able to get it as efficiently as that. So understanding Krishna or understanding Parabrahman through the sensibilities that has been given to us is much more easier than to go beyond it and ask for it. This is one of the preliminary differences between understanding Bhakti Yoga and Jnana Yoga. Jnana Yoga particularly says that we have to let go of all the sensibilities. Here too, there is, it says Jitendriya. The sense of Jitendriya is different in both the contexts. When it comes to Dvaita, it is gaining control over the senses, sensory perceptions. That means we are able to see it, we are able to receive that information, but we are not responding to that information. In Jnana Yoga, in Advaita, we have to completely ignore that. We have to completely detach ourselves. So there's a huge difference in how the same words, that is the reason why there is Matabheda. These words are not from the acharyas. These words are from the main text, that is Shruti Pramanas. From there, they have a totally different conception of how it should be executed, and therefore we have different schools of thinking. When I say Vishuddhatma, in Advaita it may mean something, in Vishishta Advaita it means something, and Dvaita also it may mean something else, because we are seeing it in action form. And in action form, a person may do one task in one way. It will differ from how it is completed by somebody else. So when I say Jitendriya, Advaiti would say, rather than submissing it or suppressing it, I would sublimate it. So how am I going to do it? I am going to refocus my thoughts into bhakti. Any thought that makes me sensitive, I am going to transfer that, I am going to divert it towards bhakti. So we have that bhavodveka, we have that the emotional attachments. So rather than completely getting rid of emotional attachments when it comes to Advaita, that is taking up sannyasatma and completely focusing on ourselves. Here in Dvaita, what we are doing, let us focus the same emotions that we have with our family, with samsara, to Krishna itself. So therefore, we will find that in Dvaita tradition, Krishna is worshipped as a child. He is worshipped as an ancient, as a Parabrahman. He is worshipped as a Sakha. He is worshipped as the epitome of love. All forms of attachments, we are not denying that. Rather, we are connecting, we are diverting whatever the bondage is there in this samsara to Krishna itself. So it is basically trying to control all our sensibilities through one remote control. That is called Krishna. This is what we are doing. There we are trying to completely remove the batteries and get detached. Here we are using the same to our advantage and trying to reorient ourselves into one disha, one direction. That is through bhakti. So there are different ways in how the philosophy gets executed. In Bhagavad Gita, especially, there are four actually. I've written 14 pointed, which is the tamas, what tamas means. But there are four, starting from the fourth one, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. All these five shlokas, 5, 6, 7, 8, 5, 6, 7, 8, 4 shlokas are pertaining to the gunas. So here, Sattvam Rajastama iti gunaः prakriti sambhavaः nibadhanti mahabaho dehi dehi namavyayam tatra sattvam nirmalatvat prakashakamanayam sukha sangena badhnati jnana sangena chanagha rajo ragatmakau viddhi krishna sanga samudbhavam tannibadhnati kaunteya कर्मसंगेन देहिनं तमस्त्वज्ञानजौ विद्धि मोहनं सर्वदेहिनां प्रमादालस्य निद्राभिः तन्निबध्नाति भारत. So this eighth shloka is what describes tamas. Tamastvajnanajau viddhi mohanam sarvadehinam प्रमादालस्य निद्राभिः Tannibadhnati Bharata. Bharata here is Arjuna. So Krishna is explaining to Arjuna. Tannibadhan Nibadhnati Bharata. So what are this? Tamas is somebody, the one with Tamas Tattva is one who is a deluder. He looks at his body as it is the primary constituent. That means without this body, there is no astitva. There is no astitva of consciousness. So he connects very closely with the body. And therefore, what happens? He is born with ajnana. Because that itself is the avaraka. So that is why we see that it binds that soul to his body. And body has a problem of exhaustion. That means the body, a physical existence, has its own limitations, and therefore the soul also gets bound by those kind of limitations, like nidra and alasya, pramada alasya nidrabhihi. These three things, the body is also bound by it, and therefore because he connects very closely with the body, he is also bound by it. Now, why we are talking about tamas is practically because when we say mudhanam, here the indication are those people who do not see the truth. That means ignorance itself. We know that because of the close association of tamas tattva with the body, there is denial of the fact that conscious can exist without the body. And that is mudha. That is mudhatva. That is what the Mudhanam is spoken about. Now, how does this apply to the next shloka? Next shloka is with respect to Tadaiva Purusho Muktaha Janma Mrityu Jaradibhihi. Why it is important to understand Mudha is because only a Mudha gets affected by Janma Mrityu Jaradibhihi. Jara means aging. Janma Mrityu Jaradibhihi. He gets affected by that. Once he is able to understand that whatever he is feeling, whatever he is experiencing is primarily because of the body, identification with the body, and there is a possibility of completely averting it, and then he executes it, he is not going to be mudha. That is the reason we need to understand what our smritis are saying in different contexts. That mudha means actually many different things in different contexts. But here, this is the meaning saying that that is the reason he's tamasic. So we should not understand this to be as, okay, is tamasic, if tamasic is very bad, then we should completely get rid of tamas. That is not possible. Even in sattva, it is a balance of rajas and tamas. Because identification with the body, if it is not possible or if it is not needed, then we don't need the body. Primarily the reason why we find that there is a story of Shri Ramana Maharshi at some point of time when he's about to leave the body, he calls his disciples and he says that my time has come and I would like to uh, leave, and you all should make way for it. All his disciples start crying, and Sri Raman Maharshi, he says, all this time I have taught you that the soul and the body are not the true form. The body is not the true form, the true existence of the soul. And you are here crying because I said I'm going to leave this body. So the stupidity has dawned upon me that all this time I have taught you nothing. So primarily understanding why Mudha is important in it's important to understand in contextual meaning of it. So here in Chandalya Smriti, it has been mentioned, and that is where all these 9 shlokas are taken from. And this Janma Mrityu Jaradibhi is only affecting those Mudhanam. And then Kali Yuga Varnana, because the next shloka is about Kali Yuga. So in Kali Yuga, as it is mentioned over here, there is a decline of moral values, because it says over here, Prapte Kali Yuge Ghore. It is Ghora. Why it is Ghora? Because as compared to the other three eras are basically Sati Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, then Kali Yuga. Now in Sati Yuga, we cannot say anything because it is way beyond our imagination also, because we think, is that even possible? So it was said that even the gods were astounded by the virtue of humans in Sati Yuga. That is how good humans were in terms of dharma, etc., etc., etc. And now with Kali Yuga, it is Ghora because there is a degradation of values. Because the Artha itself is it's complicated. It's made complicated so that we cannot understand. Now with people moving less and less towards scriptures, what happens is that this Kali Yuga has become much more complicated, much more Ghora. We don't even understand anything, but we are practicing something. This is the difference. We have not stopped practicing. We are still practicing, yet we don't have complete knowledge about it. So what happens? We are practicing something without understanding its meaning. It means that we are doing it for the sake of it, or we are doing it to indulge at egos. Ashastra Vihitam Ghoram Tapyanti Yetavo. This Ashastram also is a huge word. It just doesn't mean something that is not written in the Shastras. Something that is done without understanding through Shastras. I'm doing a yajna, but I'm not understood what is the meaning of yajna, why it must be done. And yajna also mean different things. If we go to Hiranyagarbha Sutta, yajna is how the creation of the universe takes place. So understanding the concept of yajna, and without doing that, I'm performing some yajna, thinking that, okay, if I do a havan, if I do a homa, it is yajna. And therefore, without understanding it through Shastras also means Ashastra. If I do that without understanding, without the purpose, knowing the purpose of it, without learning it in the Shastric manner, then that is also to satiate my egos. All the Damba, Ahankara, Raga, Dvesha, all those things, because we are just doing it for the purpose of it, nothing else. So that is to be understood. So here, Kali Yuga is not just about degradation of values, it is about the complications that we are bringing about. A person, when you're talking about a race, he has to start at a starting line. Now, that starting line itself is so far from us. Now, first I need to walk towards that. I cannot start running towards it immediately. When the time is right, that means when the whistle is given, or the gun is shot or anything like that, when the race starts, then we have to start running. And then we have to, there is a method. If you're running a marathon, depends on the distance. You start off slow, then you increase your speed, then you pace up, and then you go and finish. You don't slow near the winning line. So there is a method to understanding the Shastras also. Now we are far off from the starting point. First, we have to reach that point. Then we need to start understanding through traditional means. Of course, it is difficult to do it with the traditional means today because we're all busy with something. But at some point of time, taking some time just for it can help us. We're not even making an effort to reach the starting line. Finish line is way far off. So this Kali Yuga has this problem where we don't even know where we stand when it comes to understanding our scriptures. And without that, we are commenting on it. I'm not saying that I know a lot about the scriptures. That can also be a question. I don't know, but this is what I've understood. I'm making an effort. And anybody who goes through these videos at any point of time, and they feel it is wrong, what I've said, what my opinion is, and they feel it is wrong, and when they express something else, my uh, understanding of the topic broadens. Somebody might be having a valid point. So somebody might be doing it for their sake only. I'm not saying that they are trying to teach me or anything. They might be offended, they might say something, yet it might be beneficial to me. So the expansion of knowledge can happen when we open ourselves to uh, inspections, when we open ourselves to criticism. So keeping that in mind, understanding that Kali Yuga, we need to keep our egos aside. Make an effort either to learn something, either to know something, either to show our interest in something. Doesn't matter whether it is complete. We can never match up to the acharyas. We can never match up to our ancients. They were in a different time, but we are also in a different time, and we are doing the best we can. Showing the interest, and what kind of interest? Just it doesn't make sense to advocate for something without knowing anything about it. The effort must be made to know it, to understand it. At least make an effort. So Kali Yuga Varnam, the problem is simply that in this particular yuga, there is degradation of values because we can see values are interpretation. So in different contexts, we say it is different things. So because of that, it is getting difficult for us to act on something, to not act on something. Decision making is very difficult. And there is a reduced lifespan. This is primarily because of changing geological conditions where pollution has taken main course, and we are living in a very polluted world. We are living in a very we are dependent on all kinds of energy sources, and the focus today, be it any work, is towards earning wealth rather than anything else. There is no secondary motive at all. It's only wealth motive. So, and the time that is given to family is reducing. Therefore, the relationship bonds are also very weak. And situational morals dictate business ethics because business practices, nobody is 100% ethical when it comes to business practices, and declination in spiritual practices. We don't give as much time. So all these things are the features of Kali Yuga, and it will only get more intensified, these things. So this is the, and of course, change in diet. This is also an important because we are not built to last long. So um, these, this is how the Kali Yuga is. In this Kali Yuga, one that we have seen so many changes have happened. Our approach to Vedas have changed. Our approach to Acharyas have changed, our approach to knowledge has changed, our reason for practicing something has purely become wealth, etc., etc. But one thing that has not changed is the Harinama Smriti, where smarane of Harinama can and will help us to ease our worries, ease our tensions, etc., etc. It's still very potent. That is what uh, Brahma is trying to say in these three verses. So this is the Bhashya for shlokas 38 to 40. स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यः प्रतिपालयन्तां न्यायेन मार्गेण महीमहीषा गोब्राह्मणेभ्यो शुभमस्तु नित्यं लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यद्यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणाय इति समर्पयामि।